Today, we're embarking on a deeply personal journey, one that really resonates universally, I think, reflecting on the relationship with one's father, especially after his passing. It's about finding understanding, maybe some healing, and perhaps even rediscovering a connection that felt, lost. Our source material for this deep dive is a truly unique and poignant journal. It's titled Dad, Wish I Understood You When You Were Around. Now, this isn't just any blank book. It's a thoughtfully designed space specifically for those, well, conversations we wish we'd had, a chance to explore precious memories, pivotal moments, and maybe those profound lessons that went unarticulated. The author's own motivation, it seems, stems from a profound sense of regret, a deeply felt wish to have listened more, asked more questions, and truly understood the beautiful, complex, and sometimes difficult man behind the simple title of Dad. It's really an invitation to engage with a relationship that, well, for many, didn't get a proper ending.
Yeah. What's truly powerful about this journal is its intention. It's designed as a therapeutic tool for reflection, for memory, a quiet, structured space to process complex emotions and find understanding along your journey. It guides you to cherish your father's memory and to actively work towards establishing or even reestablishing that connection even after he's gone. But, and this is really vital, we need to be clear. While this journal offers an incredible pathway for personal healing, for introspection, it is not, and it absolutely cannot be, a substitute for professional grief counseling or therapy. It's about personal reflection, yes, helping you process and understand. But if you're navigating overwhelming grief, seeking professional support is always, always advised. Think of it as a deeply empathetic guide, a companion on a very personal path.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, it's about creating that safe space for the internal work. So, our mission for this deep dive then is to explore exactly how this journal guides you through reconnecting with and understanding the often complex man behind Dad. Imagine the possibility, right? Discovering new things about him, maybe things he never explicitly shared, and in turn, perhaps even new things about yourself. It's a journey into both memory and, well, self-discovery. So the journal begins with this beautiful, incredibly supportive philosophy. It immediately establishes itself as a safe and sacred space, which feels like such a crucial foundation when you're delving into personal, often tender memories. It reassures you, right from the start, that there are no rules here, no deadlines, and no one is grading your answers. That gentle permission to just be and feel is so important, isn't it? It then tells us very simply, very profoundly, that the most important thing is to simply begin. It really sets the stage for a supportive, self-paced exploration, honoring your unique process.
Absolutely. And that permission to simply begin is key, especially when facing something maybe as daunting as grief and complex memory. Which, raises an important question. How do you even begin such a reflection when emotions can be so raw? Well, the journal offers two distinct approaches, but they're entirely combinable, which is great. You can start objectively focusing on recalling facts. This approach often feels a bit less emotionally charged, maybe. It's like a gentle way to ease into the process. For example, the prompts might be things like, what did you do for a living? What was his favorite song? What were his catchphrases? You're just, documenting memories, like a historian almost. Gives your mind something concrete to grasp without immediately diving into the deep end, emotionally speaking. Then, of course, there's the emotionally driven approach. When you feel ready, you can dive into the deeper feelings. And this involves, well, raw honesty. Allowing yourself to feel whatever you need to feel, whether it's emotions from a specific memory or just those complex, sometimes contradictory feelings about his absence. The brilliance here, I think, is the flexibility. You don't have to pick one path. You can switch between them. Factual recall one day, emotional exploration the next. It depends on how you feel. It really acknowledges that healing isn't, a straight line.
Right. And that flexibility, as you said, is absolutely crucial. The journal explicitly reassures you that it's okay to jump around between sections. It's okay to revisit difficult prompts later. That really reinforces its supportive nature, understanding that grief and memory work in their own time. It's not a test, it's an invitation. Explore at your own pace. Honor where you are emotionally in that moment. Okay, let's unpack this a little more deeply then. When we think about how memory actually works, there's a profound truth, isn't there? Our senses often hold the strongest connections to our past. The journal really leans into this in its recalling his appearance section. It invites you to close your eyes and truly remember what he looked like, sounded like, even smelled like. It gets that memory isn't just a mental file cabinet, it's a multisensory thing.
Oh, definitely. This section is masterful in its specificity. It's insightful how precisely the prompts are designed to bypass abstract thought. They trigger those vivid sensory details our brains store so powerfully. It asks about his smile and eyes, for example. Was his smile a wide grin or a subtle curve? What color were his eyes? Did his eyes crinkle at the corners when he laughed? What did they look like when he was happy, serious, or thoughtful? See, it's not just a physical description. It's exploring his expressions, his inner world, really. Then it moves to his hands. What did his hands look like? Were they, soft, big, and strong, or weathered from work? Hands tell stories, don't they, about a person's life, their work.
They really do.
And beyond sight, it taps into sound and scent, often the most primal memory triggers. It prompts you to recall his voice and laugh. Can you remember the sound of his laugh? Crucially, how it made you feel. Was his voice gentle, deep, or loud? The sound of a voice. It can transport you instantly, and then powerfully, his scent. This one. This is arguably one of the most profound sensory memories. It's so linked to our limbic system. Bypasses rational thought. Hits you with pure emotion. It asks, did he have a particular scent? Any food that he cooked carried scent with him? Any cologne, deodorant, things associated with him? And finally, mannerisms. Did he stand a certain way, have a distinct walking style? Any specific gesture that he used to show? Those little unique identifiers that make someone unforgettable.
Yeah, focusing on those specific, vivid details, it's incredibly powerful because it's not just recalling that he existed, but how he existed in the world. It engages multiple parts of your brain, bringing memories flooding back much more immersively, creates a fuller, richer picture, almost like he's right there again. It helps you re-experience moments, which feels vital for processing loss and understanding the whole tapestry of who he was. So we've explored how individual sensory memories can bring a father back, but often the most powerful memories are those we built together, right? Through shared routines, rituals. And that brings us beautifully to the journal section on a shared tradition. These aren't just activities, are they? They're often the unspoken language of a relationship. The journal invites you to go beyond what you did and focus on how it felt, recalling the details that made those moments unique, special between you and your father. This feels like where a lot of those implicit lessons and values get passed down.
Absolutely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, traditions are often the bedrock of family identity, connection, emotional anchors, sort of. The journal prompts you to identify some traditions that you followed jointly, maybe list up to 4. Just naming them can bring so much to the surface. Then it asks about their origins. Did they start accidentally? Were they passed over generations? Or maybe started intentionally? Understanding the origin can reveal so much about family history, values, even your father's own upbringing. But it really pushes deeper. Beyond just description, it asks why they existed. What was the deeper purpose they served for your relationship? That's crucial. It helps uncover the underlying meaning. Was it about connection, teaching a skill, creating belonging, something else? It also encourages recalling sensory and emotional elements. Were there any dishes associated with them? Can you relate any song or folk music with them? Can you relate a fabric or clothing, things like that? And what was the mood or feeling of the moments? Were they thoughtful, quiet, or maybe full of fun and chaos? Those details make a tradition come alive again in your memory.
And there's some critical thinking here, too. It asks, what role did you and your dad played in those traditions? And how did these traditions evolve over time as you both grew and changed? Did they become more or less important? That prompts reflection on the dynamic nature of relationships, how they adapt. And finally, a really poignant question about legacy. After him, have you continued with your kids? That helps you see how his influence lives on through you, through the new traditions you might create.
It's amazing, isn't it? How these traditions form a unique language, a bond. They reveal so much about the relationship itself. They're not just actions, they're containers of feelings, unspoken values, a shared history that continues to shape us. By dissecting these shared moments, we can understand our father's implicit teachings and maybe how we've internalized them without even realizing it. Okay, building on that idea of implicit teachings through traditions, let's shift now to a deeper reflection. The journal wisely points out that a father's wisdom isn't always spoken aloud. It's often shown through his actions, his values, and his presence. This section really pushes you to look beyond just the explicit advice and uncover the quiet, powerful ways he influenced you.
Right. And what's truly insightful here is how the journal encourages looking for those subtle, often unarticulated lessons. It asks, what valuable lessons he taught you, without ever saying a word? That really makes you think, doesn't it? About his example, the values he lived by. It also delves into his personal growth, asking, did he mention learning something late in his life? That offers a glimpse into his humanity, his capacity for change. And crucially, how are you deploying these lessons in your life? That connects his wisdom directly to your present, shows his enduring impact. The journal then prompts reflection on the source of his wisdom. Where did you think his wisdom came from? Was it his upbringing, your own life experiences, beliefs? Understanding this helps contextualize his perspective, the man he became. It also broadens the scope to consider his influence on other family members, friends, and profession circle, which is a good reminder that a father's impact often extends far beyond his immediate children, creates that ripple effect. Some other really insightful questions here include, what did he never compromise on? But also, did he repent on some of the values he insisted on? That encourages a nuanced view of his character, a steadfastness, but maybe also his capacity for self-reflection. And what did you observe as he faced a challenge or changed his mind about something, highlighting his humanity, resilience, his own journey? Finally, it ties into legacy again. How do you feel when you were passing on his lessons to others? And did he mention influence of someone on him, fostering an appreciation for that lineage of wisdom and how you become a conduit for it?
This kind of reflection really helps understand the full scope of a father's character, doesn't it? And his enduring ripple effect, not just on us, but on everyone around him. It lets us see him as a complete, complex person with his own journey, his own influences, not just through the lens of our relationship with him. Now, let's transition to the navigating grief section, which is, understandably, the most emotionally intense part of the journal. It acknowledges a profound truth. Grief is not a single emotion, but a collection of them. It can be that sudden wave of sadness, a quiet ache, maybe a burst of frustration. This section stresses the absolute importance of not censoring yourself here, allowing all those often contradictory feelings to surface without judgment. It's about being brave enough, I guess, to sit with the difficult emotions.
Exactly. And this section delves into the often hidden aspects of grief, recognizes that so much mourning can be private or unexpressed. The journal asks directly, what is an emotion related to his passing that you haven't been able to express to anyone? And is there a part of your grief that you feel you have to hide? These are vital questions. Unexpressed grief, sometimes called shadow grief, can linger, cause more distress. It then broadens the scope, asking who all remember him from time to time, listing relatives, family members, friends. It reminds us grief is shared, even if felt individually. Helps validate your own feelings by recognizing his broader impact. Then come the difficult but necessary questions about regrets. This is often a huge part of grieving. Is there something you wish you had done differently? Is there something you wish you had said differently? What is that one incident you wish hadn't happened? Confronting these regrets, even just on paper, is a crucial step towards acceptance. The journal also gets very physical. It asks, where do you feel grief in your body? Is it a tightness in your chest, a lump in your throat, or a dull ache? That's powerful. Grief isn't just emotional. It's somatic. Acknowledging its physical side is part of processing it holistically. It also explores how memories can just hit us unexpectedly. Describe a time when a memory of him suddenly hit you, and why. Helps you understand your triggers, the ongoing nature of memory. And for many, probably the hardest question, what is the absolute hardest part about not having him around anymore? Allows for that honest articulation of the core pain. It concludes this section by asking, what are you doing to overcome the grief? Shifting focus from just feeling the pain to actively seeking coping mechanisms, pathways towards healing, reinforces that therapeutic intent.
Yeah, this section truly is a crucial space for acknowledging, processing all facets of grief, even the uncomfortable ones like regret or hidden emotions. It offers a structured yet deeply empathetic pathway towards healing by, well, truly seeing, naming, and accepting what you're feeling gives you permission to be fully human in your loss. So as we near the end of this journal's journey, we arrive at the enduring legacy. This section highlights a crucial shift in focus, moving from the immediate pain of loss towards finding hope and a sense of continuity. It's about transitioning, as it says, from the pain of loss to the power of a legacy. Recognizing his story doesn't end with his physical absence, it continues.
Right, and what's truly inspiring here is how these questions encourage a meaningful act of love, of remembrance, transforming grief into a celebration of life and influence. They ask, if you could share a single moment from your life with him right now, what would it be? Brings him into your present, allows that hypothetical connection. Then, what is a subtle, almost invisible part of him that you've noticed living on in yourself? Helps you recognize his continued internalized presence, the ways he shaped who you are. It also prompts a forward-looking commitment. What is a promise you can make to yourself to honor his memory? That's an active step, moving from reflection to intention, and crucially, about shaping his narrative for the future. If you were to tell a story about him that you hope is passed on to future generations, what would it be? And finally, what part of his life story do you want to ensure is never forgotten? This empowers you, really, to become the keeper of his most important memories, actively ensuring his story resonates. These questions transition from the deeply personal pain of absence to the enduring power of connection and remembrance.
These questions really underscore that idea, don't they? That a father's influence, his lessons, his quirks, his very essence, continues to shape our lives in profound ways. It's about recognizing that legacy and actively carrying it forward. Understanding his story is now interwoven with yours and with the stories you'll tell. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, it's clear this journal, Dad, Wish I Understood You When You Were Around, provides a powerful, deeply personal, and profoundly therapeutic way to engage with a father's memory. His wisdom, the complex emotions surrounding his absence, it covers so much. It's more than just writing. It feels like an act of love, remembrance, and ultimately, yeah, self-discovery. It helps you untangle the threads of a relationship and weave them back into a narrative that brings maybe some peace and continuity.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the journal's closing message, it truly resonates as a universal truth for anyone who's experienced loss. Your father lives on in these words, in the wisdom he shared, and most of all, in you.
Yeah.
The powerful reminder that the journey of understanding, of healing, it's ongoing. But his presence, his impact, truly endures within you, guiding your choices, shaping your perspective. Grief doesn't just disappear, but it can transform into this profound, ongoing connection.
Absolutely. The journal encourages you to carry his memory with you, not as a weight, but as a light that guides your way. So maybe the question for you, the listener, is what light might your own reflections reveal about your relationship with your father, about the profound impact he had on you, and ultimately about the person you've become? It feels like a journey well worth taking. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it sparked some meaningful reflection for you.